Semicircular canals. Well, the semicircular canals tell us about the rotation of the head. You know, when you, if we get a volunteer, which we won't, but if you put a volunteer in the chair up there, because you've done this, probably when you were kids, just to make yourself sick, right? And you spin somebody around, you spin them and spin them and spin them and spin them, and then you stand them up, and they go in there, they're all, you know, wobbly, and they can't stand up, and everybody laughs because, oh yeah, that's funny. You know, after a while, of course, if you do too much, you can make yourself sick, because what's happening is the fluid is rushing around in there, and the brain just can't figure out where in the world it is. Yeah, which I'm sure is the same thing with motion sickness, seasickness. The brain and the eyes just don't know what's going on. So this is the Bode labyrinth. All right, this is a pretty decent picture. This is in your book, and I think it's a good summary. It's probably a good place to start. So the membranous labyrinth. Membranous is filled with endolymph. It's surrounded by the bony labyrinth, which is filled with the other fluid. And the membranous labyrinth is divided into two parts: the cochlea for hearing, and the vestibular complex, which has two components: the utricle and sacral, and the semicircular. Right? So rotation, gravity, and acceleration basically balance hearing. So it's hard to imagine, isn't it, that all that information can be packed into that tiny little bony structure on the inside of your head. It's pretty amazing when you think about it. So that's just the organization of, that's a nice little flow chart that shows you how it all fits together. And this is right out of your book. Okay, so here's, I think I got this picture in here like 2 or 3 times just because you need it. So here's the cochlea. Here's the semicircular canals, and there's 3 of them. Anterior lateral and posterior semicircular canals. And we're not really going to worry about this thing called the macula. We're really not going to worry about the cristae with the ampulla. Here's the utricle, here's the saccule, here's the semicircular canals. So this whole thing as a structure is called the vestibular complex. The reason we don't worry, you know, I'll probably show a slide, a picture of this, but we're not going to go into the detail. It's actually pretty cool when you look at it. The inside of these little things, the utricle, the saccule, and the semicircular canals, you got little piles of gravel in there that move. And when they move, they trigger little cells to release neurotransmitters. So, you know, when you tilt your head to the side like that, there's these tiny, tiny little crystals that actually shift position and stimulate cells in there to release neurotransmitters and say, okay, you're rotating to the left. Okay, now you're rotating to the right. It's incredible, right? And I think it's pretty cool, but it's more stuff than we need for this class. So, and we'll get to what's in here later. Right? But this is what we're going to concentrate on first. And it's just a close-up picture. Same thing. Get kind of carried away on that. Where are we? We're right here. And so we're right here. And there's the vestibular cochlea now. You know, they used to call it the acoustic nerve, but no more. And I guess vestibular cochlear makes more sense. Harder to say, but yeah, it makes more sense. Okay. I want to skip this for a second because there's more information on here than you need. This is one of the slides I don't like. So you can see what the semicircular ducts do, or semicircular canals do. Horizontal, nodding, tilting the head side to side. The canals have different jobs depending on where your head is. But that's the interesting thing. You can close your eyes, and as long as there's no nerve damage to the vestibular cochlear nerve or anything like that, you know where your head is. You know if it's back or forward. I mean, you can nod yes, you know, or not, you know, either way you want, you know, like, you know, no way, I'm not doing it. Yeah, okay, I agree. Or, you know, side to side. And the semicircular canals, the fluid in there, and I'll just show you a picture of how it works, but the fluid in there causes little things to move, and neurotransmitters released. It shoots up cranial nerve number 8, and your brain says, okay, you're on the left side, or now you're on the right side. Okay? So you can see what the canals do, and that's their job. I'll probably get back to that slide in a second. This is one of the slides you really don't need, but I mean, there's information on here that I'm not going to hold you for, but I just kind of like to just briefly, if you permit me to do it, just show you how this kind of works. So here's the fluid, the endolymph, and this little thing is called a cupula, right? And it's kind of in here in this fluid. But here's what happens: if the fluid goes this direction, right, because you're tilting your head in this direction, then this little thing goes in that direction. If your head goes the other way, it goes this direction. But what happens are these little things called hair cells. And they're little parts of the nervous system. And when it moves, these little cells get distorted. And when they get distorted, they release neurotransmitter, and look what we have here, a nerve, right? And it takes that information to the brain, and instantaneously your brain says, okay, it's left, okay, now it's right. Right? So it's just this little thing moving in the fluid. And there's not just one of them, of course, there are thousands of them, I'm sure. Right? So this is, in the canals. Then when you move your head, this little thing's moving. You just thought something else was happening, who cares, right? That's how it happens. These little things move, stimulate the hair cells, neurotransmitter, bingo. Brain tells you what's happening. Thank you, brain, for doing that so quickly for me. So anyway, yeah, like I say, it's not a test or anything, but that's how it works. Right? So these things are basically in here, and it's filled with fluid. Let's see what this slide says. Yeah, the hair cells and stuff like that. So and there's the ampoule. Pretty neat. And when the hair cells move, this is just the hair cells. Just what's happening. And again, huh? Like Billy?
So.
Yes. Maybe think probably too big for him. Maybe think of them as like little, maybe